These are difficult times. You wake up every morning wondering what the hell is going on. Are we being ruled by the stupid, by the uncaring, by the thoughtless? How did this felon get into the presidency? You ask all these questions and you can really lose hope. But I want to leave you with something today, a vision of what can be, because we're resisting and we're going to win. We really are. Back in the summer of 2023, there was a EPA administrator by the name of Michael Regan. And he had come down to Cancer Alley when Joe Biden was elected as the EPA administrator. And he visited with some folks I know, Robert Taylor of Reserve, Louisiana, and Sharon C. Lavigne of St. James Parish, Louisiana. That area is known as Cancer Alley. He came down there and he started talking to the folks there. He was the first federal official in their memory who cared enough to come down there and talk to people. And he didn't just promise things, he was actually doing them. And this is what a really caring government can accomplish. During this time, he encouraged locals to file complaints because they have rights to do that. There are so many chemical plants, plastic facilities, ammonia plants that are disproportionately put into areas that are like 90% Black. And it's being done obviously on purpose. The plan there is to kill off all the people and just make the land for chemical plants. Even the people who get jobs there are known as chemical sponges, and people are dying in Cancer Alley prematurely. And there's a school there near one plant called the DuPont Danka neoprene plant, which has been historically emitting levels of chloroprene, a carcinogen, that are 70 times and more the already lax federal limits for that chemical. And it's being run by DuPont Danka. DuPont transferred ownership of the facilities to a foreign corporation, Danka of Japan, around 2015 in order to, everyone believes, escape liability and just the bad press from being such a bad neighbor. Well, Michael Regan came down and eventually the EPA filed litigation against DuPont Danka. And that was huge. And at the same time, EPA began an investigation into the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality, which was also huge, because the LDEQ is a rubber stamp for the chemical industry. It's not really a Department of Environmental Quality, it's a Department of Environmental Degradation. And they don't really listen to the people. I've been there so many times and heard thousands of people protesting various plants. They all get put in. It's just, it's a terrible way of looking at things there, but it's different than in many other parts of the country. But Michael was making a difference. The EPA launched an investigation into the LDEQ and the way that permits were being given out, and eventually came to the conclusion that disparate elements were being punished more severely. In other words, people in the largely Black districts were getting all the plants, including the Formosa plastics plant in the 5th district of St. James Parish, where my friend Sharon lives, and she's fighting that plant. And DuPont Danko is being just given carte blanche to keep polluting the kids of the 5th Ward School and the community of Reserve without any penalties, without curbing the emissions. So they filed litigation, and this litigation, especially the investigation into the LDEQ, resulted in what was going to be an agreement between the federal government and the state of Louisiana to start considering the impact facilities like the Formosa plant would have on specific communities. In other words, if they're all being put into one area, that's not right. That's wrong. That's a violation of civil rights. So this was landmark legislation. Sadly, in 2023, the Attorney General, Jeff Landry, filed litigation against the EPA to stop this investigation. And given the nature of the Supreme Court, there were a lot of drawbacks. What was almost achieved, though, was land just shattering, earth shattering, because it would have changed the way air pollution permits are given out throughout the entire South. Governor Jeff Landry, he's now governor of Louisiana, sabotaged this. He actually worked with Formosa attorneys to sabotage this potential consent judgment between the state of Louisiana and the Biden administration. It would have been just so much of a breakthrough. And Robert and Sharon came very close to achieving this. Landry sabotaged it. And they found a judge in the far west of the state, a Judge Kane, who has no environmental, who's just a really bad judge. Everything he rules is against civil rights, and he ruled against the Department of Justice and EPA in this case, and in favor of the state of Louisiana from enjoining, and he enjoined the EPA from using Title VI of the 1964 Civil Rights Act to enforce basic civil justice here. Again, all the plants are being put into this one area. It's really inhumane and unjust, and people are dying. They're dying prematurely. I meet them all the time. But we came very close. Robert and Sharon came very close to achieving this landmark consent judgment. Landry sabotaged it. He's now sabotaging all the other folks in Louisiana, except for, well, he's really sabotaging them through eminent domain and pipelines and injection wells and absolutely zero environmental safeguards. He's a terrible governor for the state. Anyway, he sabotaged this. And when Trump came in to power, he tried dropping the lawsuit against DuPont Danka. But something remarkable has happened. Robert Taylor, who's one of the most important environmental civil rights activists in the world, took up this suit as a citizen enforcer, and it will continue. And he will bring DuPont Danka into compliance, even if the Trump administration won't. So stay tuned for more news about how this suit is being pursued by a citizen enforcer. And I mention all of this because it's going to be a long nightmare. We're dealing with stupid, dishonesty, liars, people who don't care about other people, racists, supremacists, everything horrible you can think of. It's right there. There's nothing good coming out of this. There can't be anything good when you hurt so many people's civil rights, when you take away due process, when you drop righteous lawsuits like this one against DuPont Danka. It's just a really bad nightmare. But we're resisting, and Robert is taking on this suit, so take heart. We are going to hold on, and as soon as we can get our people back into government, that 2023 consent judgment, it's going to come back to life. We're going to figure out things here in Louisiana too, and try to get as many sensible people in the government as possible. In other words, people with a backbone. And down here, that's really difficult to find, but they're there, and we're going to build a coalition and bring more sensibility here to this state too. So hang on. We're going to get through this, and I'll talk to you next time. This is David Steinman. You can find me on Twitter at @bydavidsteinman or Instagram at @davidsteinman_author. And yeah, and look for my book, Raising Healthy Kids, Protecting Your Children from Hidden Chemical Toxins. You can get it at Amazon.com.